Merced County's news voice since 1936. News Talk 1480, KYOS, Merced.
Greetings once again from the KYOS News Desk. We are back with Merced County Sheriff, Mr. Mark Payson. Welcome back, Mark.
Good morning.
Hey, we got some feedback on our show last week.
Really, all positive, I'm sure.
Someone was referencing, we closed out our last week's show with a song called 110 Soldier.
Yeah, right. I think it was very appropriate.
I thought it was too.
I thought it kind of put things together about differences of opinion.
Absolutely. And we're all fighting for the same thing, more or less. You know, we create these monsters in our head.
Exactly.
And,
people utter such bizarre opinions without being fully educated on a topic, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, we have a society that a lot of people just parrot what they hear.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's the danger and the power of media, because you can perpetuate falsehoods as much as you can perpetuate truths.
So then you're a powerful member of the media organization here with the 50,000 watts of 1480
listen to this,
AM radio.
Listen to this loud and clear, Mark. Ready?
Okay. I got to tell you, I was over at a board meeting for the Los Banos May Day Fair, Tuesday. And on the board is Larry Borelli. Larry Borelli, big-time farmer rancher over in Los Banos. And he listens to us religiously, and he and his pals. So, I mean, you're probably giving yourself a little less credit, and I think you deserve a little bit more.
Well, I look at my paycheck every week. And
Oh, that. I can't help you there. All I know is that people are listening to us.
Well, all right, that's good to hear.
So, Larry, if you're listening, good morning.
Anyway, to get back on to what I was talking about earlier about our show closing last week with 110 Soldier from the movie Billy Jack. I haven't seen that. I'm going to watch that. The movie Billy Jack. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea what it's about, but I'm going to check it out on like Netflix or something if I can find it.
If I recall correctly, it was a drifter that, usual theme. Drifter comes into town, wants to do good, is pushed back by the establishment, and ends up doing the right thing at the right time, whether people were watching or not. And that's what it was. And I think
I like that.
The person was had that Kung Fu David Carradine karate guy.
I like that too. I was a big Kung Fu watcher.
Yeah, so I think that's what the theme was.
What was it? Was that called Kung Fu? What was the name of that show with Carradine when he just roamed the? He was a Shaolin priest. He had those tattoos, and he just wandered through the United States. Was it called Kung Fu?
I think it was.
Yeah. I like that show. Anyway, again, I'm going to try to finish my point here, but we had David Thielen in earlier, and he listened to our show and said that he thought a more appropriate song to close our show with last week would have been Just My Imagination by the Temptations.
Oh, that's good, Dave. That's why he's an attorney.
That's right.
That Juris Doctor came in handy if he knows all those songs. Well, then here's my comeback. Then we need to do one by, maybe we can end it with a song by Chumbawamba, that 90s group that my daughter and I used to listen to all the time. It was basically the theme of that one is rather fast style. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down.
Amen, brother. That is a good one.
So,
now, are you willing to give 3 minutes of your interview to Chumbawamba to play that, or would you rather have that time to speak?
I think if Dave's going to raise, the good counselor is going to raise the ante on me, we can't let this go unchallenged.
So that's Chumbawamba, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Gotcha. I guess
You're never going to keep me down. I think that's what happens here. That's, I think, part of the process.
Speaking about getting knocked down and getting up again, talk to us about AB 109, man. That thing's that for those of the listeners who haven't been following, we've talked about this as you would put it ad nauseum. But the AB 109 is the prisoner realignment, which is basically a philosophical change in the state of California to take low-level offenders out of the state system and put them into more of a local settings. Is that correct? Is that a fair assessment of it?
Yes.
Okay, and right now there's been I don't want to say a spike, but has there been an uptick in personal property crimes, or they're trying to tie an increase in some type of form of crime to the fact that AB 109 is not working like it was intended? Or can you clarify that a little bit for us?
Sure. I think what happened was there's always this a misnomer, but I mean, statistics are what they are. So let's go back a little bit. And we have to go back to the Schwarzenegger administration. during the initial lawsuits brought by Don Spector, Google this gentleman's name up, Don Spector from the prisoner's legal office, brought suit against the state of California. And actually, this goes back to the Gray Davis administration, carried over to the Schwartz administration, and now is with the Jerry Brown administration that they had to mitigate it somehow. So let's start with Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was going to be a massive jail dump in the year.
And explain jail dump.
They were just going to open up the doors
and let people out on the streets, unsupervised.
There was going to try and be some light supervision, but a lot of it was going to be timed served with little or no supervision, which would have overwhelmed the state parole system and also the local law enforcement system.
And this was a result of the lawsuit brought by that gentleman you just mentioned that basically said that these prisoners were being treated inhumanely because there was too many of them for an allotted amount of space. Or...
Exactly. There was, they were at 180, I believe, 186 capacity level.
186%
over capacity.
And the federal government deemed that too high and said, get the percentage down no matter what you have to do.
Exactly.
And because we didn't have any money, the option was to open the gates, like you said, and just let them out on the streets.
Correct. So we had termed that the big, massive jail dump. This went about...
We're talking about early 2000s?
2000, around 2006, 2007, 2008. It really started to percolate hot and heavy around 2009. And so bear in mind, that was a transition of Schwarzenegger administration, and when Jerry Brown won governor, he inherited this around, because I went directly up as president of the association because I caught a few extra months.
Can I go off on a tangent real quick here?
Yeah.
I have to say this. It could have been file tape. Have you been around Jerry Brown recently?
Yes.
Okay, so it might have been live. Was it a press conference and you were over his left shoulder, or was that file tape?
That was a B-roll.
What's that mean?
B-roll. They'll go ahead and tape a press conference or do a taping of us come out of the governor's office, or I'm at a...
Well, what I saw was he was at the lectern and they were talking about AB 109 and whether it was successful or not. And there was because I was talking to a buddy and I looked at the TV and you were there. I mean, you were right, literally over his left shoulder, standing there.
Yes, that's when the press conference from about a year ago.
Okay. Anyway, they were talking about AB 109, and the soundbite was, he was talking about it, and what he was talking about, I was looking at you, and you know those little Charlie Brown cartoons where you have those little clouds like float over their head, and you can see something
like a thought.
Yeah, like a thought, exactly. And the reaction that I got from your reaction to what he was saying was, if I could put a word in the cloud, so to speak, would have been, an expletive. You just looked disgusted. You looked like what you were. It was you kind of just you put your head up and you.
I think I was just tired because he the governor. We become friends. I mean, it's not like we share birthdays or we talk every day, but we can call each other if there's something comes up, and he has, and I've called him, be that as it may. But periodically, Governor Brown's very eclectic, and he goes from topic hop to topic, and it's very difficult to focus. I've been in his office. In fact, I was there a few months ago when now Congressman Jim Costa was there getting some political advice. And we started talking about AB 109, how we do it. Next thing you know, he diverted to the water issue. He had maps of the Delta and the ocean. And I go, okay. Sit down. Look at this. What do you think? I go, I think whatever you think. I mean, that's kind of that's above my pay grade. Right. Can we start talking about how much money we're going to get for this AB 109? Right. Yeah, in a minute. And then that minute never arrived, and we had to reconvene.
So you've been one of the you're in the camp now of the AB 109 in reference to AB 109 that. Number one, you think that it's got the potential to work. Number two, it's a work in progress. And number three, it's way too early to tell if there's any consequences of it at this point.
Let's go.
Am I correct?
Yeah,
in that?
we need to go back because
Okay.
here's what happens: people don't have the exact history. I wish I could do that, like a Vulcan mind meld, where I could transfer the history and the knowledge of what I know to you. And the best I can do is verbalize it and explain it and educate the populace. We were on the cusp, quite frankly, of a massive jail dump during the Schwarzenegger administration because they were under extreme pressure by the federal 3-judge panel to get that inmate population down to at least, I believe it was 137% of capacity. How they came up with that number, I don't know if it was negotiated, but that it is what it is. So that meant nearly 40 to 45,000 state inmates were going to be released under some type of program that they would end up back to their original county of domicile where they were convicted. Merced County was going to get back some type of triple figures of these characters. And if you recall, that's when the California Correctional Peace Officers Association, upon hearing the utterance of Governor Schwarzenegger that he was going to transfer prisoners out of state to bring it down.
I do remember that. Yes, I do remember that, yeah.
So they started that process. Well, then CCPOA starts a lawsuit. Those are our prisoners. You can't do that.
For job security.
Exactly.
Right.
They had plenty of job security. There was still going to be plenty of prisoners.
Sure.
So they fought that a little bit. Then there was a court battle. Okay. Then they ruled in favor of Governor Schwarzenegger that he could do that. So the state of California was spending money out of state to house these characters. And most of them went voluntarily. Okay, fine. So, but we still had to pursue a plan to bring the population down even further. Well, by that time, while I was going through the chairs, meeting with the governor, sometimes Schwarzenegger himself, and then with Secretary of CDCR, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, Matt Cate, myself, Nick Warner, Bob Doyle from Marin, some of the sheriffs that were on the board, to figure out what are we going to do. Well, then Schwarzenegger's termed out. Governor Brown wins. I remember going up there. He won November of 2010. Okay. That was when the final election had taken place. I started as president a few months early, was basically summoned up over there. What are we going to do? And that's how this whole thing started. Okay.
The whole AB 109?
That's how the realignment process started. Something had to be done because the state was not doing its
It had to
duty.
hit that 135% or whatever that the
135%.
federal government had mandated.
Exactly. And it's a federal 3-judge panel, and there's not a darn thing you can do, okay? We went through all the litigation, we negotiated, and unfortunately, and I don't want to be critical, but somewhere along the line, the state dropped the ball over all these. Because the Coleman Plata was the last lawsuit that really got traction. There was a couple others prior to that over conditions, mental health, this, that, and the other. You name it, they all threw it in there. Okay, so now we move on. Now it is Governor Brown gets sworn in. It's January of 11. Go up over there. There's a series of meetings. What are we going to do? Here's the bottom line. He's the governor. And it was either the Schwarzenegger way of opening up the doors, or we had some type of plan, scheme, and design that finally gave birth to the realignment process and what is now known as Assembly Bill 109. The governor signed it. To his credit, it was supposed to be implemented July 1st of 2011. He moved it back to October 1st of 11 so we could kind of catch our breath on this, because it was truly breathtaking what was going to happen and what was about to befall the counties. Money was attached to it. The article in the Sun Star has some accuracy, but also there's some things that need to be more fully explained.
One thing I'd like you to explain is the difference in per prisoner cost. I saw that they said that we were getting $12,000 per inmate, and some people in the Bay Area were getting $30,000 per inmate.
Here's what happened here, and that's a very good question. But again, there's an institutional knowledge and history that needs to also be out there and educate the populace. When AB 109 was first implemented, those Bay Area counties, let's go back a little bit, and I know this, I'm going to try and be as simplistic as possible. The money was predicated on the average daily population of inmates that were sent from a county, whether it was Merced, Kern County, Fresno, Marin, San Mateo, San Francisco. What happened was the first year of implementation, those Bay Area counties that already had a program in place didn't get their full allocation because the average daily population was based on who you sent to state prison. So what happened was within our own ranks, there was some grumbling because some of the Bay Area counties didn't get their full allocation, or they believe they did not, because they already had programs intra-county to deal with some of the substance abusers and low-level offenders. They were already in the rehabilitative program and already started something. So where we in the Central Valley, Sacramento down to Kern, would just adjudicate it, they were felons, they went to state prison, it inflated the original numbers where we got more money the first year than my Bay Area sheriffs. Well, then the Department of Finance said, okay, well, we got to make this right. So the second year, they got a few extra dollars, and we somewhat suffered. Now we're at a place, and, Scott Ball was accurate about the numbers that we get per inmate at $12,000, I believe, per year. We are working with Department of Finance. In fact, I was in Sacramento this past week. I went up there for the day to kind of run some numbers and see what it would look like. And we're trying to get it more equitable. Okay, who do you have here? Let's just make a deal where everything is as reasonable as possible and everybody feels they got their fair share. And as usual, Steve, the driver of most issues, when it becomes very contentious, it's about the money, right? So that's what happened. We just didn't arrive here on, March 22nd, 2013. You have to understand the road we took dating back to Gray Davis, and I think the somewhat ambivalent review of what the inmate population and some of these lawsuits. Well, the next thing, it did come crashing down during the Schwarzenegger administration, and they were literally going to open up the doors. You think we have people perceive we have problems now? Can you imagine just some type of under the category of reform
Yeah.
that 33 state institutions would release upwards? I think the number was 45,000 inmates because there was 186. They wanted to get it down to in the 130 populace. That would have been horrendous. And I remember being in with the governor, explaining myself, Nick Warner. I remember Bob Doyle there, Keith Royal from Nevada County Sheriff, who succeeded me as president. Go, Governor, you can't do this. I mean,
So that one mandate from the federal government that said you're at 186% of capacity, now you have to go down to 135. Did that apply only to state institutions?
yes.
And the reason I ask that is we look over at our local facility. Where are we at percentily wise as far as our capacity?
The main jail is under a federal cap also. We can only put in so many persons there. Now, we have some flexibility at the La Duraca Center. They're on Sandy Mush. And it's kind of ebb and flows
And is
over
that
there.
why? Because you were able to shift the inmates from the state mandated populations to the county populations where there's no control by the federal government as to capacity?
The feds still are reviewing the main jail here, downtown Merced. We're still being scrutinized under federal cap. What we ended up doing, and I got to compliment, Scott Ball and the rest of those persons on the CCP, the Community Corrections Partnership, because we have been able to put persons on electronic monitoring. I had our sergeant, Chuck Hale, regardless of, and this is where I couldn't comment because my aunt had passed away, and Ramona calls me, and I just didn't have time to talk to make a comment. It was just a bad time, but I still stand by AB 109. I got to tell you, and I will hate to keep reiterating this, but it is what it is. I know what could have happened under the Schwarzenegger administration versus what's going here with at least some type of plan. We always knew, Steve, that we were going to have to reevaluate and recalibrate and re-educate this AB 109
As
process.
you do in any major shift like this. I mean,
Exactly.
it's a learning process. There's a learning curve involved.
This is seismic, quite frankly,
Absolutely.
as far as where we're moving everyone. It's unfortunate that statistics are showing that Merced City has a 24% jump, but you go to Livingston, they've had it's just been in the paper. It's been negligible there. Gustine hasn't been that bad. We were 4% decrease. So,
and your position is it's unfortunate, but it could be way worse.
Exactly. But here's the deal. We're seem to be doing okay as far as that. Is there going to always be crime? Yes. Is there always going to be a segment of the population that's wired wrong? I know we're running out of time, but I was also in Sacramento with the Board State of Community Corrections, and the Executive Steering Committee is getting ready to release $500 million in new jail construction. So I was up over there.
Wow.
And I think we're going to be able to participate in that. But you know what's just drives me nuts? There were persons beating up on my buddy, Greg Monks from San Mateo, who is one of the more visionary sheriffs in California, who is building a new facility and is trying to put programs and rehabilitative efforts. You know who came up over there and just pummeled him like a harp seal was the ACLU. They want all that money. They firmly believe. And I was like stunned when I heard this. They rebuked him in front of an entire auditorium that he wasn't doing enough. I think he's above and beyond.
As far as trying to rehabilitate?
Yes, exactly. And
those ACO guys are a little bit nutty.
Well, it seems like they
would
believe nobody should be in jail.
They would go ape crap over my Prisoner Island idea, wouldn't they?
Oh, dude.
Dude, we got to make that happen, man.
Well,
you got to throw that out next time you're around the governor. Just throw it out there. See what happens. I mean, hey,
if I can keep him focused.
Governor, I got an idea for you.
Yeah, listen. You want to come on the radio show? That. So my whole point about I believe AB 109. The DA made some comments. I can't take exception to it because it is early. Are there going to be some persons that should be in state prison, but because they fall under that category, we are working on a legislative remedy through the legislature right now, because those are the issues that come up.
Absolutely.
Okay. We are reevaluating, and we're going to recalibrate this, and our folks are doing a great job.
And in the meantime, you got to play the hand you're dealt.
Exactly.
And make the best of it.
Exactly. Or it could have been much, much worse.
Yep. Well, my brothers, anything else you need to get out there before I let you go?
Chumbawamba, baby.
You got it, man. Just keep getting up.
All right.
That's all you can do.
I do.
Keep getting up and keep moving forward.
10-4.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Merced County's news voice since 1936. News Talk 1480, KYOS, Merced.